This is our armrest. We will show you how to remove the armrest. This is the inside of the armrest. You will see 3 black knobs. The top 2 are flower nuts, and the bottom one is a flower screw. Now we're removing the flower screw at the bottom of the armrest. Completely loosen this flower screw. Now we will show you how it looks on the chair. These are the 2 top flower nuts. You have to bring up the Velcro seat cushion. You might bend it up a little to gain easier access to these flower nuts. After removing these flower nuts here, make sure you completely loosen them. Remove the power cord. Now we will show you how to loosen the power switch box. You locate these 4 screws, and you need a Phillips screwdriver, and you unfasten them like so. Now this is how the chair looks when all the wires are disconnected. We will now remove the backrest cover on the chair. There are 6 screws you need to locate, 2 at the bottom, 2 in the middle, and 2 at the top. Completely unfasten these screws to remove the backrest cover. After removing the backrest cover, we'll show you here how the chair looks on the inside. This is the cover for the motherboard. You will need to locate 2 screws which hold the motherboard into the chair housing. Unfasten these 2 screws with your Phillips screwdriver so we can remove the cover on the motherboard. Recommended is a magnetic tip Phillips screwdriver for this job here. And after locating and unfastening these 2 screws, you can start to pull up the cover on the motherboard to access the motherboard itself. Now these are the wires that are plugged into the motherboard of the chair. To replace the motherboard, you will need to first disconnect all of these wires. You may use your hand or use a long nose pliers to disconnect these wires here. You will need to remember where each of these wires go. Recommended is taking a picture before you remove these wires, or marking each of these individual wires here in these plugs so you can remember where they go. It's very important you plug them into the new motherboard in the correct slots. Now these are the triangle locks which hold the motherboard down. They lock the motherboard into place. Now to remove these triangle locks, which are 4, you will need either a long nose plier, or you can use a small flat tip screwdriver. Do that for all 4 of them. Now, after removing the 4 triangle locks, you can remove the motherboard and replace it with another motherboard. First thing you do is you line up the motherboard over the 4 triangle locks and you snap the motherboard into place, making sure each triangle lock is secured. Now you plug back in those plugs. Remember to plug them back into the correct slot as you plugged them in. You unplugged them from the old motherboard, and usually the plugs line up the same amount. They'll fit in the slot you're trying to plug it into. Don't forget the 1 wire from the old motherboard which connects to the new motherboard. Now this is the 1 wire that's connected from the old motherboard that you physically have to remove and install it into the new motherboard. It connects from the bottom layer to the top smaller layer of the motherboard. Now this is reinstalling the motherboard cover. You realign it over where you're going to install and fasten the 2 screws. And after aligning the screws, you simply tighten them. Tighten them as much as you can with your magnetic Phillips screwdriver so that the motherboard's cover stays put.